We have had so much rain this summer, um, and there's more coming. I'll show you the current sky. We've got the sun shining bright, and then we've got these storm clouds in the distance. But I wanted to take a minute in between the rain showers and give you another garden tour, this time of my perennial bed and kind of the north patch of my house that I call my own personal Pacific Northwest, and you'll see why in a minute. So I thought I'd start here with the lupin. This year, look at this. Let's see if this will zoom in really nicely. Look at that. That's such a funny looking guy, hey? We've got a two-headed lupin. I've grown lupin for years and years and years, and I've never quite had this effect on one before. This lupin is something else, and I can't wait to see it when it's like fully purple in just a couple more days. I'll have to take a photo or something. That's too funny. I love, we're so used to getting like odd-shaped vegetables in kind of just personal gardens, but this is the first I've seen of a funky flower. So the lupins are here. They nestle right up against some honeysuckle that I've got, and it's this honeysuckle. It could use a haircut. It could probably use a little bit of a trim. It's a bit of a mess right now. It's got a little trellis in there that it does grow up in addition to the fence, and it definitely takes advantage of that. It produces some really nice kind of like salmony pink orange flowers. I planted this originally in the hopes of getting and attracting hummingbirds. At the time I had a couple hummingbird feeders, and so I gave it a shot, but after a few years with no success, I kind of gave up. I thought, I know we have hummingbirds in the city, but I think I'm too far from the river valley and I don't have enough trees around me for them to feel safe in coming here. You can hear the lovely sounds of summer around me. Beside the honeysuckle, I have a peony. This will be a gorgeous, you can kind of see that gorgeous pink here. It's going to be like a dark pink with a bright yellow center, and he just loves it there. I do have quite a bit of ground cover that fills in any empty spots, and then there are some irises here that'll come later this summer. There's a lily here that will come a little bit later this summer, and I have some irises here that are mostly on their way out at this point, but there's a couple left. I love the burgundy color first of all, but I also love, I can't remember if this is called bearded tongue or dragon's tongue off the top of my head, but I love that part of the iris. I don't know, it always catches my attention, and it's always seems to be some vibrant color in contrast to the petals. And so I planted these a few years ago, and they seem to enjoy it here. Oh, one thing I didn't show you, there's another one back near the lupins, but I have a couple bee hotels. I have a bee hotel here. I'll quickly come back to this one. This one sits in between the peony and the honeysuckle. I've got one there, and then I also have like a little, not a bee bath really. It's more just like it's a place where they can kind of come and drink if they need to. And despite all the rain, it looks like it could use a refill. I don't actually know if they use the bee hotels, but I do know that we have ground dwelling bees, and so I'm trying to make this a hospitable environment for them wherever possible. And the bee hotels kind of look nice. They add a little bit of variety to the plants. So as you can see here, we've got some buttercups, again, mostly just for ground cover, but they add a really nice pop to the garden. And I have quite a few flowers that are purple with yellow or white with yellow, and so I find that the buttercups, they actually make a really nice accent to cut flowers. Like if I'm cutting some daisies and some irises, I'll cut a few of these as well, and they make a really nice little bouquet. There's a lily coming up and working its way up right in the middle of all of that. And then some tulips that are done. my other peony back here. I have a couple out front here too, but this one's another back one, and you'll see this one's kind of like a lighter pink. You can kind of see the color that it's going to be here in just a few days, actually, it looks like. Kind of more of a pastel kind of vibe, which is nice, gives it some contrast to the really deep magenta one further back. I've got a, shoot, I can't remember the name of this off the top of my head, hold on. Beard tongue, and this one caught my eye. It is a perennial, and it's got the burgundy leaves, but then it has these really like light pink flowers. You can see they're just getting ready to start blooming, and I just love the contrast of the light pink against the burgundy. So it ended up in my garden. That's pretty much how I plant things. Like, my priority is find things that are hardy to this zone first of all, because I have no business and no interest in having to dig up plants at the end of every season and bring them in for the winter. Find things that are hardy for this zone, and then find whatever makes my heart sing in terms of color and shape and texture. And so that one made it in. Here is my musk mallow. It is, for those who are maybe not familiar with mallow, it looks like a miniature hollyhock. I don't know if they're in the same family. I think they must be. The leaves are kind of a similar shape as well. They are probably not the same genus. They're certainly not the same species, obviously, but I'll have to double check. But I liked them because they look like hollyhocks, and I feel like hollyhocks look a little bit like hibiscus. So it feels like I have a tropical flower, even though I live in the middle of the northern Canadian prairie. So these guys will be light pink as well. And right now we're hovering at about 4 feet. They're about 4 feet tall right now. So you can I'll kind of come back so you can see it. You can see all of it. Last year, some of the stems got a good 7 or 8 feet high, and it was amazing how tall they got. So they really do try to outshine the hollyhocks that I have elsewhere in the yard. But I love it. And then I have some bachelor buttons. They look like they are a little sodden from the rain, but like, look at these. I love the like the petal structure, like the petal composition. So these are in a similar family as like cone flowers or other bachelor buttons that you might be familiar with, but these are definitely a different shape than I think the ones that most people are used to thinking of when they think of cone flowers, which have more of like a tight, fluffier petals. But I love this. And so this was actually one of the first perennials that I put into my property. There was a lady on probably Free Cycle, I think it was Free Cycle, not Kijiji, but she was splitting a lot of her plants that year, and this was among them. And so I took a clump and I actually put them out front, and so I've had them for like nearly 15 years, and every now and then I'll just move some more, and they have taken up beautifully here in my backyard. And the bees seem to love them too. The bees will come and they'll work their way over the stamens and the pistils and all the petals to get their nectar. But I just love them. So yeah, and the daisies are coming out. They look like oh, we've got one. Hello, good morning. My daisies I love the look of daisies. I admit I'm not really a fan of the smell. Like, these are the daisies that, I don't know, they smell like feet. I don't know what that is. Their cousin chamomile smells so lovely. I don't know what happens to these daisies. Anyway, they are definitely true daisies in that you can see they're creeping out onto the grass and they try to take over the lawn. And you know, honestly, there's a part of me that wants to let them. I don't care much for the grass. Like, increasingly you can kind of see it's patchy and it's not lush, and there's some weeds. Eventually this will turn into something. I just don't have a vision for it yet. I'm thinking clover, but part of me is also like, well, what if I just got rid of this barrier and just slowly let perennials take over? We'll see where I end up. This could be a very different garden tour in a few years, but right now, the daisies on the outside of the barrier do get mowed down every time I mow the lawn. but it doesn't really bother me that they're there. And then we have daylilies. These ones, I have so many daylilies, and I have ones that are kind of like a rusty orange, and then I have others that are like a deep kind of burgundy red. I can't remember which these ones are. I'll have to report back in a few weeks when they are actually like blooming. But they're also another flower I just love, because once they start going, they just go, right? The daylilies, true to their name, like one will show up and then it lasts a day, and then the next one shows up and the next one shows up, and they just sort of take turns along the stem, it seems. And so even though they're daylilies, the plant itself goes for weeks, and it brings me so much joy. And so this brings me to sort of the north side of my house, and what I call my own personal Pacific Northwest. And you can kind of see that by the plants that are here. Ferns and hostas and these kind of lush, shade-loving, moisture-loving plants. And that's with intention. I have learned in my master gardening course that, part of effective gardening is picking the right plant for the right space. Don't plant something in full sun that needs a little bit of shade, and don't try and plant a zone 6 plant in a zone 3. Like some of that, like I was doing already, it just kind of makes sense to me. Like why try to grow something somewhere where it doesn't want to grow? And so when I moved in, this was actually all grass, and which was, fine enough, but I didn't mow it, because if you'll notice, I have an air conditioner that came with the house. That was a nice luxury, but the distance between the air conditioner and this fence is not quite wide enough for a lawnmower to get through. And so I wasn't going to do this whole section with a weed whacker, and I wasn't going to lift my lawnmower to bring it back here. And I wasn't about to buy, I don't even know if they sell like thin lawnmowers, but I wasn't about to buy a second lawnmower. And so I ripped it out. I had the sod pulled, and then I had a friend help me lay down just like some paving stones all the way down. And then on the left and right, I started putting in shade-loving perennials. This space doesn't get a lot of sun. It gets some early morning sunlight on a clear day, and it gets some late evening sunlight on a clear day in the summer. But outside of that, it's mostly shade. And so the beauty of that means that, like, I don't water this side. I don't water these beds. I don't water these plants, because the moisture from the rain is sufficient. It keeps the ground moist because of the shade. And so I think when we had the heat dome back in 2021, I did have to water this side. Like if we have like a stretch of a couple weeks of like 30 degrees or more, like I do have to give a little bit of water, but really, like, that's it. So we're talking like a week out of the whole summer. Otherwise it takes care of itself. And so I have, the ferns and the hostas. I love hostas, and I am curious, like, I've never bought a hosta. Maybe I bought one just to kind of spoil myself, but all of the hostas I have came from a couple different plants that I was given. Like, they were split from somebody else's hosta. And it makes me wonder why the ones that are in stores are so expensive, because all of the hostas I have, like you can see this one with the green and the white trim, it's the same hosta as that one with the green and the white trim, like same original plant. I just split them. And so it always boggles my mind that they're so expensive. And maybe that's why. Maybe they know that you can get a lot of mileage out of a hosta, and so that's why they're more expensive. But to me, it just seems kind of illogical that anyone would ever buy more than one, basically. I guess maybe if you want like the two different designs. But it's like, I don't know, I feel like hostas are a bit like rhubarb. Like who in this province doesn't have one? So that's my little side tangent on hostas, but I love them regardless. And so I've placed them back here. They're all over my property, but they do really enjoy it here. And I do have like other flowers. I kind of experimented, like these are some daylilies, and then There's an iris there that you can see is kind of working its way towards blooming. There's another one. And even though those plants do benefit from quite a bit more sunlight, I was like, well, let's see what happens. But they do really well. And what I've noticed is because there's less sunlight, they do take longer to bloom. Like I've already got irises awake and in full bloom in other parts of the property because they have full sun. And so what's nice is that the flowers might be done blooming like on my south perennial bed or out front, and these ones are still going. And so I just feel like it extends the season for me of how long I have a particular flower. So it actually kind of worked out really well. I did make sure, you know, like irises and daylilies, they're pretty hardy, and so I figured they would do okay with less sun. I wouldn't try and experiment like with a sunflower back here or something like that. So yeah, that is my north patch. And you know what's interesting is, you know, this is the north side, but this perennial bed that we just strolled through, it's, even though it's also technically on the north side of my property, it's on the south side of the fence, and just by virtue of the fact that it faces lawn instead of a house, it's full sun. So it's interesting how I have these little kind of like microclimates in and around my garden, which makes it really great for growing a wide variety of plants, which I'm hoping the birds and the bees and the rabbits love just as much as I do. And as we finish off, I do want to just go back to the back garden that I gave you a tour around last month. It has filled out quite a bit in just a month's time. I think when I gave you the garden tour, I was just reveling in the excitement of being able to just see everything because the snow had melted not too long ago. But now you can see how much it fills out in just a month. I've added a few pots. There's some herbs growing. I thought they can hang out here this year. But this geranium-like plant is getting ready to bloom, and the phlox is nearly done, and we got some sunflowers coming up, and it really starts to feel like summer when I see everything like this. And the pop of the light green of the creeping jenny against the darker green of the sedum and the thyme, it's just, I don't know. I might be biased, but I kind of love it. It's my little piece of paradise. Let me know in the comments, what is a plant or two where you really realize that you put the right plant in the right spot and it just loves it there? What's the favorite spot in your garden? What's your piece of paradise? I'd love to hear about it.